Hey guys, so the rom-com Netflix original When We First Met, starring Adam Devine and Alexandria Daddario, has just been released on Netflix. It's been out for about a day or so. It came out on February 9th, and I just watched it, so I thought I'd give my thoughts on it. Now, essentially, this movie is centered around Adam Devine's character by the name of Noah, who misses out on the opportunity to nab the girl of his dreams, played by Alexandria Daddario, one night on Halloween in 2014. So he misses out on that opportunity, ends up spending the next 3 years sort of regretting it, and then his dream girl ends up marrying a new guy on right around the anniversary of the 3-year anniversary of when they first met, which sends him into this kind of spiral thing. So he ends up getting blindly drunk, essentially, and going back to a bar that he works at, where there's a photo booth that they took pictures on the first night that they met. He makes sort of like a wish type of thing, I guess if you want to consider it that way. And he goes back in time to 2014, and he gets to try this whole thing over again with his second chance. Now he ends up messing that up, so he has to go through this cycle a couple of times, but he does end up going back into the present, where he has to deal with the consequences of what happened with his then first time travel. And he has to go through the cycle a couple of times in order to try and nab his dream girl and live the life that he actually wants. But there are certain repercussions that come along with that. Now, this is probably not the best description of what the actual story of the movie is. It's probably the best way I can kind of put it in layman's terms without getting overly complicated. The trailer does a much better job of telling the story than I did, probably within the next couple of minutes. But it's essentially the cross story or hybrid rom-com version of like Big with the wishing machine type of thing, meeting Groundhog's Day, where you can live the same day over and over again. It's very much a blend of those two movies. Not any real big surprises here as far as the way the story goes, the ideas that are presented, what it's using, sort of plot devices, time travel machine type of thing. Really no big surprises here, but I think that it is definitely a suitable rom-com. There's really nothing over the top or really great about the movie, but it's definitely watchable and worth your time. Now, as for the performances of When We First Met, I feel like Adam Devine's character really was the standout. He is the main character after all. He does things very well. He's a pretty funny guy. I don't know if rom-coms are necessarily his forte. I very much feel like he's much more suited for that workaholics type of vibe. He did a lot better in that, in my opinion. He's not really that sort of clean comedy sort of guy, which I think is where it kind of hindered here. It's just not his greatest strength, I think. He's definitely good at comedy, just not this type of comedy, which I think held that back a little bit for me. But I just can't help every time I see Adam Devine, not only thinking of Workaholics because that's actually where I first saw him at, but I feel like he's the modern day Jack Black. Not to say that's a bad thing, just a lot in the way of his comedy and the way that he has his certain mannerisms very much reminds me of Jack Black. It's essentially this generation's Jack Black for me. That's the way that I view Adam Devine. I'm hoping that will change a little bit maybe as he furthers his career, maybe with whatever's going to be happening in Game Over Man, even though that's probably going to be a lot of the things we saw in Workaholics because it is the same group of guys. Not entirely sure, but that's just my overall impressions of Devine himself. As for the rest of the characters, Alexandria Daddario did fine, as she does in everything. No big surprises from her. The rest of the cast, pretty okay. There, again, no big standouts. There's nothing really surprising or overly drawing me to this movie or really making me want to watch it again. It's an okay movie. There's nothing that makes you want to go back for a certain reason, unless you really like one of these people. It's just not a movie you want to revisit several times. However, it is a decent enough rom-com that you can enjoy it. It presents enough of the same ideas that we've seen a couple of times, but in a little bit of a different way, so that it makes it a little bit more refreshing and enjoyable, but no real big surprises here. There's no big standout actor, there's no big standout moment, no laugh out loud moments, although I did chuckle a few times. It just wasn't my kind of movie necessarily. Not that there's anything against rom-coms, it's not my style of movie, so maybe I just didn't have that connection with it that maybe I do with other films. But I do have to say that while I was watching When We First Met, I do have to agree that I think that this was the right move on putting it straight to Netflix, being produced by Netflix and going straight onto Netflix and not having a big wide release. I'm kind of thankful for that. I really don't think that this would have been a successful movie by any means had it been a wide theatrical release. I think it would have done okay, especially drumming up business around Valentine's Day, having that rom-com vibe to it. But I don't think it really would have done that great of a business. Having it more accessible on a streaming platform like Netflix around the Valentine's Day holiday kind of works to their benefit. I think it's pretty fun, pretty good option for couples who are staying in, or for if you're just staying solo for Valentine's Day, or if you have to work or whatever it is, and you want to play something in the background, something romantic comedy just to go with the theme of the holiday. This movie's perfectly acceptable, and I would highly recommend it for that reason. But there's really no big thing other reason that I can say, go watch this movie. It's absolutely hilarious, anything like that. Humor's okay, acting's okay, story is okay. Really no big thing that I can really say to recommend about this movie. And for that reason, the overall grade that I have to give When We First Met is a C. I do think that it is a pretty tolerable and watchable rom-com, which is why I would suggest it around this Valentine's Day holiday. But other than that, those are pretty much my thoughts on When We First Met. Like I said, it is now streaming on Netflix, so you can go check it out. If you have happened to see it, be sure to let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below. But other than that, that's all I really have for right now, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.